without further ado.
Afternoon.
Cause I, oh, I do the medium.
Oh my god, I was up at 6 and then I fell asleep and I just woke up and I was like, oh shoot, it's 1 o'clock.
It be like that though. You get that sleep after 6 o'clock. You don't know when you're gonna wake up now.
No, I mean it
But
was
yeah,
I had an auction last night and stuff, so I got litty and I did too much drinking. I'm not really much of a drinker, I'm much of a smoker. So
yeah, same here. Same here, definitely. MK. Oh man, thank you for doing this show. First off, I really appreciate that.
oh no, for sure. I'm always up for what's it called? I can't get my words right now. Hold on. Collaborating with people, you know what I mean? Like, it's the only way we all build and grow together. So,
Definitely. Did you have a? Was it a certain topic that you wanted to go that you had that in your head to go with, or is just you want to start at the beginning,
um,
or?
there's something that I go through every single day, and I feel like all of us go through this. Is grieving. Grieving, I lost my
Hold on,
brother.
okay, before you get, I want because I like the whatever the situation, I try to get for the, I try to build up to it, build up to whatever your conclusion is, and I guess that's the main thing my condolences as well. Um, all right, how many siblings do you have?
I have 3 siblings with the one that passed away.
Mhm.
I have a
Okay,
sister, which ironic. Her name is, I don't mind saying this, but her name is my name is Nicole and her name is Nicolette. So it's kind of ironic that they named her like the baby version of me, I guess you can say.
hmm
We have different moms. We have same dads. So my dad must have been, doing something he wasn't supposed to, and the woman said, "You know what? I'm gonna name her Nicolette instead, to remind them that there's someone else out there." Then I do have a little brother, which I
hmm
unfortunately we're 10 years apart, so we tend to bump heads more than get along. So the one that ended up, passing away is the one that I was really, really close with because we were close in age. I'm the oldest out of all of us, by the way. So yeah, I'm
Mm.
the oldest.
How was it? So tell us some of the things that made y'all close growing up. That made y'all you know what I mean. That made y'all
Yeah,
become such a
well,
great
we were very
brothers.
close in age, so we had to go to school together. We had to ride the bus together. We had to everything I did, like even if my mom considered letting me go to the park, my brother was with me. Like it didn't matter. My brother was like my tail. Like no matter where I went, this dude had to go with me. So at the end of the day, it kind of just gives us no more, but then just vibe and get along together because at the end of the day all we had was each other. You know what I mean?
Hmm So okay, so definitely. Um, what's one significant story that you remember about your brother where he was there for you or did something out the way that made you say, "Man, I really," you know what I mean? Like that was thoughtful. That was he didn't have to do that.
I mean, honestly, I can't put a specific story right now on the top of my head, but every time we something like he was the first person, or he was somebody that I was able to call, and I didn't have, like, I would cry a lot, like I would cry about it, but at the end of the night or the end of the day, like the ending of the conversation was us laughing about the situation always, and it never failed. Like if I wanted to call somebody to tell me a funny story because I was feeling some type of way or something, or whatever I needed, my brother was normally there. If I needed someone to go with me, like for example, one day he calls me and he's like, "Hey sis, let's go get our feet done." And I'm like, "Our feet done?" He's like, "Yeah, let's go. I'm literally down the street. I'm gonna pick you up." I said, "All right, cool." So we went, we got our feet done, and he has a big thing that he's super like anal about his feet, in the sense he's like, it's just like me. We feel very like, I guess you could say, like self-conscious about our feet because honestly speaking, my feet are wide and they're flat. So I didn't like that. And then once I worked at this job, when you work with open toe shoes or like light shoes, if something falls on you, your nail tends to just like go really bad. So he had the same issue, which is funny that, we both end up having the feet issue, and then we have a nail that ends up getting hurt and it doesn't grow back the same or whatever, because we didn't do the sufficient, let's say, necessary things that it needs when a nail starts to go bad or whatever. So it just turns to go black, and it never like really like grows back. And as much as you cut that shit down, it's kind of, you need like a specific liquid or something for it. So he had the same situation. So it's funny because he went and he was like, he told a girl, like he was so like self-conscious about it. He told the girl, thank you so much for not making fun of my feet, because honestly speaking, every time I go, I don't like to do my feet like that, because I get self-conscious because of the way they look and stuff. So the fact that we both had that bond, and like every time I've gone to go to that place, I just always think about it, because it was one of our last moments that we actually spent together. Thanksgiving was another big hit for us, because me and him always had a thing that we always wanted to be like, we wanted to have our family together, but our family tends to like get in fights and they don't talk for like months, maybe years, who knows, and then eventually they get back together. We're like, we get back together, and we get. So everyone used to like treat him a little bit different, which really bothered me, because especially my uncle would be like, oh, you smoke weed and you're always up to no good and stuff. And it's like, it's kind of ironic, because now I find out that my uncle smokes. So I'm just like, wow, you used to hit my brother for smoking, but yet you smoke now, which is so ironic. Like, to me, I'm like, I was just like, yo, I can't believe it. Like, you guys made this guy feel some type of way because he was just smoking some trees versus, granted, I mean, my brother did whatever he wanted. Like, to be honest, like, how people are always like, oh, that poor guy, he passed away so early. I could say honestly, my brother did whatever he wanted to do in life. He didn't wait and nothing held him back from what he wanted to do when he was determined to do it. So
what was some of the stuff he liked to do?
he liked to wrestle, and he was really good at wrestling, to be quite honest. He actually got a scholarship to go to wrestling. He went and he ended up leaving over there because he felt lonely, which sucks, because it's like, man, you had a whole scholarship, you had your whole school paid for, and you did it because you felt alone. You left it because you felt like. And what bothers me is that my mom is not a very supportive person. Like, she's not supportive when it comes to a lot of things. My mom didn't go, like, for a prime example, my mom didn't go to my high school graduation. My mom didn't go to my baby shower. So these are all things, if you think about it, these are one in a lifetime type of deals. You know what I mean? Like, this is not something guaranteed that it might happen. It might happen again. Like, I'm not going to graduate high school again. I might have a baby again, but granted, you don't know that. Like, right now, from what I see right now, I have only my one daughter, and honestly, like, you know so
Yeah,
he
you,
did
you
like
just
to
never know.
wrestle. He actually was getting into MMA before he passed away. He was actually going to this gym, and he was getting into it because he really really wanted to do the MMA, since he was into like that whole
The
wrestling.
wrestling background is the best background to be an MMA fighter.
Yep. So he was really working on that, and actually, he ended up getting hurt. When it comes to MMA, you are gonna get physically hurt, and you have to take care of yourself. So I don't know exactly what he did. I don't know if he went to the hospital and maybe they just told him, he needed surgery. Who knows? Whatever. But he was going through a lot of pain on his knee, and it was bruised up, and you could see it, like when he would walk a little bit, like he was in pain. So he started to use other like type of drugs like Percocets and stuff like that.
So what? So he started doing the MMA. And he started actually getting into it a lot, like sparring and stuff. Actually, getting hit. It made it to where he was in a lot of pain in certain spots and stuff.
It made
He
him
was
get
trying to
hurt,
find ways of dealing.
and he was trying to find ways to cope besides using weed, because apparently weed wasn't helping anymore. You know what I mean? We would numb a certain pain until
Yeah, when
certain.
you yeah, definitely, because when you get to a certain level of pain, it's like that's how I always say, I'm really in pain when weed ain't helping no more. It's like
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, definitely. So okay, so he started using Percocets. Do you felt like okay, so when he started using Percocets, did it help him at first? Did it relieve what he was dealing with the
I
pain?
think it did to a certain degree, but he just started apparently. So I don't know if you want me to tell you what happened yet exactly.
Well, well, I guess I feel like we about to get there, right?
Okay.
I feel like we're close to
So, I mean, honestly, I don't know because there's only so much you can know about somebody, like without them telling you. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't granted, he wasn't gonna be one of those people that would come up to me and tell me, "Hey, look, I'm having this issue or something." Unless it was like a girl issue, oh, forget about it. I would get those calls all the time, and he would be like, "Hey, I need you to cover," or "Hey, I need this or I need that." He was a very big ladies man. He was very, very like super like he would talk to a freaking plant if it was possible, okay? Like he would always help like people's like self-esteem. Like that was something, like demanding that he would always do, and he would help, like he would just talk to people. He was really big at his favorite place to be was the beach. So he was always at the beach doing his little hustle he had to do, making his little money and so forth. But that man was always at the beach. Like if I had to look for him somewhere, I would just find him at the beach without even, which is funny, ironic that I would run my brother into random places without me calling him and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be here." No, he would just be there. Like, which is so crazy that God would put us in the same place at the same time at the given moment. So I have actually a good example. I'm gonna tell you a story that happened to me that I needed somebody and he was there without me even calling him or nothing, which is ironic. So it's Cinco de Mayo, right? So I'm pregnant. I'm almost like I'm pregnant, mind you. I'm the only pregnant girl with the whole group. So it's my baby daddy with his sister and a bunch of people that did decide to show up, right? So I end up running into my brother and I got happy to see him, no doubt, because I was just like, yes, a face I see, and I know him. So my baby daddy starts dancing with a girl. Like he starts grinding right behind her, right? And I'm super fucking livid, pissed off. I'm like, this is just disrespectful. Like, why would you fucking do that? Like in my head, I'm going bananas and shit, right? So I go towards the bathroom. My brother follows me and he's like, "Hey, are you okay? What's going on?" I'm like, "I'm so fucking pissed right now. I'm about to fucking, oh my God, you have no idea." Like, he's like, "Look, just talk to me. What's going on?" I'm like, "Bro, this motherfucker's over there, over there." I'm sorry, you know what? I don't even know if I should be cursing. But I was just like, I was so livid, right? So I end up going outside and the girl's like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "I'm sorry what? Like, you know that I'm pregnant. Like, how is that even okay? Like, you're claiming over here you're supposedly his cousin when you guys are nothing. You guys have known each other for a very long time and you never know. Like, granted." So luckily my brother was there because I was able to vent to him at that moment that I was mad, but I went off on my baby daddy. I was like, "You know what? If you want to leave, if you want to stay, you could stay, but I'm getting out of here. Like I'm not dealing with this. Like I'm the only one that's pregnant, I'm the only one that's sober. Like this is crazy to me. Like I can't do this." So I ended up so he ended up like getting in the car, but then he tried to get out the car and I was just like, this guy is crazy. Like he really is messing with a woman's like pregnant hormones, doing things he's not even supposed to type of be doing type of deal, and and stuff. Which I ended up taking a picture with my brother that day, which is funny because now I see that picture and I always think about that story because I'm just like, you were there, you didn't even know you needed to be there. You know what I mean? Like it was crazy.
I mean, dang, you pregnant. I mean, the nerve of humans, though. Like, Lord Jesus, like you think you pregnant. First, I ain't gonna have you at the bar. Second off, if you is, then I will be all on you. Like, ain't no way I'm finna be
No,
listening.
you better come on me. Like if you want to dance, shit, I would have
Yeah,
just grabbed my baby. I would have grabbed my girl and be like, "Look, I know you got a belly, but we can still dance." You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Instead of dancing with a girl, I was just like,
yeah. That was
"You
just so
are out
rude.
your mind right now."
So okay, I can really get how that make you and your brother closer because it's crazy when you deal with stuff like that. All of a sudden, the person that was able to calm you down at that big pregnant moment,
Yeah.
yeah, was was awesome. So when the okay, I know he was at the Percocets with the after the MMA started. Did you start seeing a gradual maybe increase in? I mean, maybe not seeing it, but could you like see it as far as like the way he was acting, anything changing after he started?
No, he was still acting the same exact way. Like he would come to my grandma's house because my grandma's like our mother. Okay, my grandma's always been she's like in Spanish it's called una doña, so it's like a madam. She's always been like the woman that since us being children, like she would always cater to us. She would make breakfast. She would make sure our uniforms and everything were bought. Like my grandma made sure that we never started school without a new uniform, without a new book bag, without new shoes. Like she made sure that that always happened with us. So my grandma, every time he would pass by, he would be like, "Oh, grandma, I'm gonna bring you some stuff, and I'm gonna cook it for me, and I'll be back." So that's what she would do. So that day, he happened to go to her house, and she was not home. My grandpa ended up being home, and my grandpa was there to see him last. And nobody really got to see him that day, which sucks. The only other person that got to see him was my little brother, because they played basketball. But at that point, he didn't have the item that he had that caused him to go into his so I'm gonna explain to you what happened that day. That basically, like, even I don't think it was something that he was doing consistent, because he didn't act different. Like he wasn't, or at least nobody brought it to our attention, because he had a girlfriend, by the way. The girlfriend plays a big role on a lot of things, because my brother, technically speaking, didn't have a driver's license, so my brother couldn't be driving, right? She used to lend him her car all the time. And ironically, I worked at a bank, and when I tell you that the bank is here, and my job is here, and her job is literally right here, it's kind of ironic too that me and her worked almost in the same shopping center. Like it was the bank, it was another shopping center, and it was her job. So she thank you, Sonia. So granted, he was constantly like, when I tell you, this guy would pass by my job randomly, and since he smelled like weed, I would be like, "Yo, bro, no, I love you, and I'm glad you're here and stuff, but you reek like weed. You gotta get out of here. You gotta get out of here. They're gonna smell you and stuff." And I work at a bank, so it's a very professional setting. You know what I mean? So I couldn't have my brother getting in trouble in there. So it was funny, because the head teller, she would always be like, "Man, your brother is so fine. You should." I'm like, "Girl, I'm not connecting you with my brother. Absolutely not. No." And I didn't like her too much, because she was always one of those people that always wanted to, like, throw herself at a guy and stuff. And I was like, "No, no, no, you're not throwing yourself at my brother." So yeah, my brother was very, like, he was still acting the same. He was still doing the stuff he wanted to do, which was eating. And he had a big, like, when he was in wrestling, he had a big thing that he would lose weight and gain weight quickly. Like he would go up and down gradually. Like he would starve himself and be like, "Okay, I know I need to be at this weight." So he would not eat. And then he would get into his, do whatever he had to do, and he would do his meat. And I'm just like, "Yo, you can't do that. Like you have no energy. How are you gonna wrestle when you have no energy to eat?" So he was like that also with the MMA. Like he was like, "Oh, I need to lose weight." He was telling my grandma, like, "Grandma, I'm overweight and I need to bring my weight down," and stuff like that. And I was like, "All right, cool." So I'm gonna go ahead and just basically tell the story of the day that he passed away, so you guys have a intel. So my brother was actually going to work. He was working on something. He had a job that day. And he went ahead and he did the job. And he later on he went to go meet my brother at the park after he played basketball with him. They chilled there for a while. He actually gave my brother $20 before he left, and he ends up leaving. And according to what his girlfriend, I'm gonna go based off the girlfriend's story. She says that they went to go meet up with one of his friends, and one of his friends gave him a Percocet. Mind you, it was his friend, and it was his friend's son. The son was there, and it was her, and so it was four of them. She says that they left the little boy with her, so she was distracted. She couldn't check. She couldn't see what they were doing. So they were both over there having a conversation or talking, whatever. Meanwhile, she was technically taking care of the boy. So I don't know. After that, they went to go visit my grandpa. My grandma wasn't home. He left whatever he left, and he went literally. When I tell you that this is literally across the street, like I could literally walk to that little gym that he goes to, which I still can walk to that gym because my grandma still lives literally right there. He went over there, and she says at that moment when he went to go pull up, put it like this, he didn't even park correctly. He parked it slanted. She says that his face became like purple. He couldn't speak. He couldn't express, and all she could see is his eyeballs moving or whatever. He ended up going into a cardiac arrest. Okay. So in that moment, I guess between that moment and getting him, she says she pulled him out the car. Mind you, this girl couldn't close my gate. When I tell you my gate of my house, she couldn't close it. So granted, I know for a damn fact she did not pull my brother out the car, because my brother he's a little bit taller than me, and he was a like he I don't want to say he was a big dude, but he like he was a type that he seemed like he seemed lighter than what he was, but when you like, when you actually push them or whatever, he had a lot of force. So yeah, so I don't know how. So then whatever, apparently she says that they called the guy. So look how crazy it is. She says she called the guy to find out what was it the guy gave him, instead of calling 911 immediately. Why are you trying to call the guy and trying to figure out what he gave him already, if the boy is going through a whole fucking he's going through a cardiac arrest? His heart's stopping on you right now. So she says she called people to help her from where they were at, and according to them, like, from what they say, they didn't react instantly. So all this is happening, someone's like someone's going through some stuff, and all these people are reacting. Their reaction is like super, like, not fast enough, you know what I mean? So it's so important. I know that things happen in life, and people they kind of just blank, like they kind of just they just lose their train of, I guess you could say, thought or movement. They get in panic mode and they don't do nothing about it. So he ends up going to the hospital. I want to say like about 7:30ish that day that happened, because I got a call like around 8, which is crazy because I was actually at the park with my little brother. My little brother actually recently moves in with me because he wants to leave my mom's house. He says he doesn't want to be with my mom. He ends up moving into someone else's house, which is my aunt's friend, which is a teacher. He ends up getting in a fight with the boy that lives there, because my brother, I said my brother and I have a 10-year gap. So my brother is only 22 years old. Okay. I'm 32 years old. So every time I turn a year, my brother turns a year, and we're still 10 years difference. So my little brother calls me crying, saying that, he can't do this no more. He doesn't want whatever. So he moves in with me. So when we get this call around 8 something, we had just left the park, which, mind you, the park is about 10-15 minutes away from the hospital that my brother is actually omitted to. The friend calls and he's like, hey, I have to tell you, your brother's in the hospital. You guys need to come see him. His heart is low, but he's still going. Mind you, I should have gotten a call like, yo, you need to get to your butt over here right now. Your brother's like in bed dying, basically, because that's granted, that's what it was. So that guy ends up calling me, right, instead of the girlfriend, which is kind of crazy because the girlfriend is the main person that was with him the whole entire time. You get me? So whatever. So when I tell you, I hauled ass from my house. Mind you, I live in the north by the airport, all the way back to the south. Man, I don't even know how I made it alive without crashing or anything, because God was with me that day. Like, I tell you, God was granted with me. The moment I walk into the hospital with my little brother, mind you, on top of that, I had to take some more time because I had my daughter with me. And I was trying to figure out if I have to take my daughter. I wasn't going to be able to take her because I already had this feeling in me that my grandma wasn't going to be able to stay with my daughter because my grandma had to be at the hospital. So I already, in my mind, I was like, none of my family members could take care of Jade right now. It has to be someone from her dad's side. So I call her dad. I'm like, where are you? He's like, I'm working, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right. I call his mom. His mom doesn't answer. Mind you, his mom lives down the street from me at that time. So then I call his brother. I'm like, hey, listen, I need to leave Jaylene with you. Like, it's an emergency. So they're like, okay, come. Literally, they live down the street too. So I try to go drive to them. And then the mom calls me. She says, I'm home. Bring her to me. And I said, okay, cool. So I went back, whatever, dropped her off, hauled my butt over there all the way to the damn hospital. I got there. The moment we get there, they pronounce him gone. I said, no, there's no possible way. Like, you guys, like, we need to see him. We need to see him. They're like, no, you can't see him. And the way that they tell us, it's not even like, hey, look, come closer. Who's the family of this gentleman? Nothing. They're walking out of the situation, like already, like giving up on not putting him, not resuscitating. That's it. I'm sorry. We tried everything we could. And I'm like, we want to see him. And they're like, you guys can't see him. I'm like, how is it possible that you guys are pronouncing him? Like, why can't you let us see him right now? So Mind you, the hospital he went to is a hospital is known for like not doing the jobs that they're supposed to for people. They have a very, very bad rep. And a lot of people talk about how a lot of people have died there because they don't do what they're supposed to and stuff like that. And the worst part about it is that this is a hospital that really deals with trauma in the south of Florida. So so my brother jumps. I remember my little brother jumping really, really high and just like starting to cry. I'm still in shock, not knowing what the hell is going on. So granted, guess who has to call everybody now?
You.
Me. So I call my mom first. My mom's already on her way. I'm like, all right. So when I get to the hospital, after they tell us that, whatever, it's my brother's Kai best friend, which is the one that called me to tell me about the news. It's his girlfriend and some other guys there. And then it's his best friend's girlfriend. So it's four of them. It's two guys and two girls. So I'm just like, WTF? How did this guy? At the moment, I was like, I wasn't thinking about that, but I was, and now that I'm telling the story again, I'm like, how did that guy get there before us? Like, how is it that they all talked among themselves and they waited to call the family after that? So it's just like sometimes we think about this and we try to go back on it and we try to think about it, and honestly, sometimes I feel like it was planted, like they did this on purpose. But so I'll tell you a little bit more about the story why I feel this way, especially with the girlfriend. Um, so after that, we sat in the waiting room, whatever, for quite a minute because the police has to come in and all that stuff, whatever. My mom shows up. My mom is like, oh, she's like, oh, but he had $1,000 in his wallet, right? And I was so mad, Wes, when I tell you, I was so mad. I wanted to be like, you know what? Like, the person that should be laying in here right now should be you, not him. Because honestly speaking, like, who is thinking about money at this point? Like, granted, we're gonna have to bury the guy now, but we're not thinking about what money was in his wallet. Is that the first thing you're gonna think as a mother? They just pronounced your son passing, and you're gonna think about money right now? You gotta be effing kidding me right now. So I was so like, I didn't tell my mom anything because at the end of the day, I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna start a fight. I'm not gonna do any of that stuff. I have to keep my composure as a mother and as a woman for my family's sake right now, because I'm gonna be the only one that's gonna grant it help with the whole thing and all that stuff. Because of course, this is my brother. Like, this is my beloved brother. Um, so yeah, then after that, I called my uncle. I called him to tell him the news. We started crying together on the phone, and he came to the hospital. The last person I wanted to call was my grandma because I didn't know how to tell my grandma. Like I said, once again, my grandma is like our mother. She's always been our mother. So to me, it was like a big deal telling my grandma. Um, so and I called my grandma last. I think I called my aunt actually instead of calling my grandma. And I told her, I'm like, you guys need to come over here right now, whatever. So we're waiting, right? And as we're waiting, we go outside instead of the hospital because they were already telling us that we had to be quiet. I'm like, excuse me, we have to be quiet. We just lost my brother. Like, how do you expect anybody to be quiet and normal? Like, you can't. So so we went outside and we were all talking and stuff. And then granted, the best friend is still there with his girlfriend. The other guy that was there that was extra, he ends up leaving as soon as he saw my family pulling up. Um, I guess he didn't want to be questioned or anything. And then the best friend's girlfriend starts talking and she starts saying, oh, your brother's he was a drug user. He used to call my boyfriend to basically get him to do drugs. And I was like, oh, in my head, I was like, this bitch is not doing this right now. Like, she must be out her motherfucking mind right now. Like, this bitch is about to get her ass mopped. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I looked at his friend and I go, let me ask you something. Why are you guys still here? And he's like, oh, my bad. And I was like, I don't care, my bad, nothing. That's disrespectful. You guys need to get out of here. Like, there's no more point for you. Thank you so much. I understand you were his best friend. But guess what? The guy is no longer here. So we don't even need you. Okay? You can go ahead and leave. So he leaves. The cops ask him to come back because they want to question him. So they question the cops into questioning my mom and they're questioning him. And then they question the girlfriend. And then the cops come back and they're like, the lady that's on there, I need help. Um, so the girl, the lady comes back and she's like, oh, you guys, try to keep her really close to you guys because she seems like she's going through a lot and she saw everything that happened and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, no problem. Keep her close. No worries. In my head already, I was like, I'm keeping this one close because I need this girl to testify against anything that happens. So I kept the girlfriend close as much as possible. I actually had to drive the car that my brother was going through it because she couldn't drive at that point. So I went ahead and I took her home with me. After all of that happened, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. After I slept 1 hour that day, literally. I woke up and I went ahead and I started a GoFundMe page. I did a candlelight dinner. I did a candlelight, like where everyone turns on. I was like, everyone needs to bring their own candles. I'm not giving anybody any candles because at this point, my mind is we got to pay every little dollar for this because granted, burying somebody is not cheap. It's not. It's a good $13,000 minimum to even do anything. So I got on every day on my Facebook, on my Instagram, thanking everybody that was coming through to giving us everything that we needed to give him the proper burial as a person and as an individual he was. And let me tell you, Wes, my brother had so many different stories from different people, and they were all great stories. Like nobody talked bad about him, no matter what he did. Like he did some messed up things, but like even the people here did mess up things too, like because he was maybe, I don't know, under something. He was very grateful and he talked a lot about God. Like that's one thing I could tell you. Like if I would like to show you the last moments of him when he passed away so you could see everything he posted. He even talked something about God that day, which was kind of ironic because oh man, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to find it.
Oh, take your time. Okay.
So I just want to show you. This is him hanging out with his friends, right? So this is my brother with the red bandana. This is the guy that was basically there. We don't know what the hell he was doing there, but he was there. This guy, and then this is the guy that gave him the Percocet. The guy in the black.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? The Percocet, his autopsy comes back. The Percocet was full of fentanyl. That's why my brother had a cardiac arrest and he couldn't breathe and all that stuff because of fentanyl. So my point of my story, I've always acknowledged the fact fentanyl is a big drug that a lot of people are getting. They're getting laced from. It could be in weed. It could be in. You could literally have it in your hand. Like it could be inside a car while a cop is doing a check, like checking up to see what, checking to see if there's any drugs in the car. And if a cop takes a whimp off that, he can even go into a state of a cardiac arrest. That's how strong fentanyl is as a drug. Okay. So the fact that my brother actually tried to fight for his life after 2 hours is fucking crazy because I've heard stories about people that die and come back to life. Like I tell you that. I've already met 2 people recently that they tell me that they went through fentanyl, they went into a coma and they came back to life. And then I have another girl and she said she died and came back to life. So when I hear these type of stories from people, it breaks my heart because I'm just like, damn, my brother could have survived this if he would have had the right people maybe around him at that given point. Like if this girl would have moved her bananas, would have moved her butt how she should have had to call 911 because they put I don't know if you're familiar with the Naxalin. I'm not using the term correctly because I don't know how to pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
But they put that in his system as well. And when we went to go bury him, I noticed that he had like the 2 little holes I think it was I'm not sure if it was in both arms or it was in one arm, I don't remember, but you could tell like there was blood, like that he had like dripping blood of it. Like, so I believe they have to, in order for them to put that in you, they have to like literally inject it inside. So yeah, so we go ahead and we do the viewing. When we did the viewing, his best friend had the nerve to still ask me if his girlfriend could come, and I said absolutely not. Your girlfriend's not coming. After what she did and what she said about my brother, it's definitely not gonna happen. So the answer is no.
Did they hold anybody accountable for the stuff being the pills?
So they started doing their investigation. They found the guy, but I guess when they spoke to him, they didn't have sufficient evidence against him because the girl. So let me explain to you what ends up happening, the tragic events. The viewing happens, and then his girlfriend comes up to me and she's like, I need to talk to you. I said, yeah. And she's like, I feel like you have something against me. And I was like, no, not at all. And then, because I was trying to keep her close, you get what I'm saying? At that point, I wasn't trying to make her feel uncomfortable or anything because I didn't want her to run away or not be close to me. I wanted her to feel close to me more than anybody. And at that point, I supposedly had her close to me, but so I told her, I was like, are you going to sell your car? Are you going to do anything with your car? And she's like, no, I would never do that. I actually need to get my car fixed and whatever. So she put, her car goes missing, like her car out of nowhere. Like she said she sent it to the shop and whatever. So she starts getting rid of her car. She quits her job. She moves from her house. So she starts doing all these things so I don't find her. She was supposed to testify. If she would have testified, we would have been able to like prosecute the guy or whatever they wanted to do. So at the end of the day, I had an investigator talk to me and he's like, look, I can arrest the guy, but you would have to basically get him to give you some drugs. And I go, sir, with all due respect, you're gonna arrest him just because of drugs and he's gonna come back out and he's gonna do it again. Like that's not even right. That's part of, like, he's part of the reason why my brother's not here. Besides the fact that my brother took that upon himself to grab that item and put it in his mouth or whatever. But I was just like, it's not gonna it's not gonna make a difference. Like it really isn't. And what sucks is that one of my friends' brother, really close to where I live, also passed away because of the same reasons. And she kept pointing. I showed her who the guy was and everything, and she swore to God that was the guy. So I thought I had a strong case on this guy already because not only one person but two people now are going down because of him. So I guess I don't know. She never really like. She says that they still haven't. For her case, she says that the guy they still haven't told her who the person is. Which I'm like, that's crazy. How do these investigators do all this investigation, but they're not even in constant communication? Unfortunately, there's a lot of cases out there. I'm pretty sure. Granted, my friend and my case are not the only case that's going through this. Like, there's a lot of cases going on, and eventually, with doing time, the police has to go with prioritizing who is what. So this is where I like kind of sometimes it makes me want to get into the law to learn more about like law enforcement, to learn more about the laws and the moments and stuff, and like to really get into more of bringing down the drug. It's unfortunate that a lot of people die. If you notice the numbers of like actual ages that people usually die is between the ages of 27, because that's where you're basically in a high thing in your life where you're like learning, I guess, about different usages or whatever reason. It's the party life, I guess you can say, really. Granted, my brother was 27 when he passed away. So his girlfriend went MIA. She disappeared completely. Haven't been able to get in contact with her. Not that I even try to get in contact with her anymore at this point because the case is closed and there's insufficient evidence. So, I mean, I could try to open the case again, but I would have to get all the evidence that I need as a person. So, to this day, we have basically no answer what happened exactly. So basically what I normally do is I um I actually want to get more involved in talking about the fentanyl and the type of drug and stuff that people really need to be careful with, because a lot of people tend to do they try to do Percocets, and Percocets end up being laced. They're not. You have to be careful who or what you get these Percocets from. Granted, my brother got this from a friend, supposedly an actual friend, that they were friends for a while. So I mean, there's a lot of things that are just like like untold and stuff. And like I say, like, how you're saying, how do you deal with this? Like something that, something that someone deals with every day. And this is something I feel like everyone deals with every day, grieving. Something that we never learn how to stop grieving for an individual that, for me, I could speak for myself. Like, my brother was someone very important in my life. When I tell you that this was the first man that I ever learned how to love, and probably only knew how to love him in a certain way, that I had, like, so much patience and so much anger at moments too, because granted, this is my brother. So this is somebody that knows me since the moment he opened his eyes. to closing his eyes. You know what I mean? It was really hard seeing him. It was really hard burying my brother. Like I remember that day that I went to try to the viewing started. Like nobody was there. I cried my butt off. After that, I didn't cry anymore because I had to show my face to everybody. We did a speech and everything. But I mean, to this day, it's hard because he's one person that honestly I would like to have here. But granted, life is hard. Life is hard, and I know he's in a better place, but it just sucks. You know what's crazy? My brother died in the same hospital I gave birth.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
So that hospital gives me like a good bad memory. Like I've never walked into the hospital again, which is crazy because I live very close to the hospital. So I've had to go like I do Uber Eats. Thank you, Sonia. I do Uber Eats, and granted, I've had to do Uber Eats like behind the hospital. So I really hate passing by that hospital because I just think about that day. Like it just comes right back. Like I just remember that moment, like everything. So I mean, honestly, like I don't know what at this point. I just tell myself, God, it's in your hands. Like whatever happens to those people that are responsible for what they know that they did or whatever happened, which is ironic. I actually was working at 7-Eleven recently, and I ran into my brother's best friend. I haven't seen this guy in 4 years. um it was a very awkward situation because I didn't know if I wanted to scream at him. I didn't know if I wanted to, like, I didn't want to have a conversation with him at all, whatever, but I was the cashier. So he came in and he was like, he was like whistling, like he was like sing like whistling something, and he got coffee. And I was just like I didn't say not one word to him. Like I really didn't say nothing to him. He didn't say nothing to me. He didn't ask me how I was doing. He didn't ask nothing. I feel like he couldn't. Like he couldn't have the nerve to ask me anything. And I didn't want to ask him nothing at that point because I didn't know. Like I didn't want to. I was by myself at the job that day too, which is crazy because I'm not supposed to work by myself normally. But I was working by myself that day. I was only like, I think I had only been in that job for like a month. I was doing it for like a part-time thing. So that day when I saw him, I said, man, I don't want to do this no more. Like I told myself I don't want to be here. Like I don't want to be in this job anymore because if I run into him again, like I don't know, granted. Like so after he left, I had a breakdown. I started crying and I was just like, wow, God, you're big. Like the way you do things. Like I feel like God is very like he has some quite a sense of humor. Like sometimes the situations that I get put in or so forth. Like when I talk to God, I laugh about it because I'm just like, one thing is like, you really have quite a sense of humor. Like, how do you do that? Like, you just put me in the work, like you put me in front of the guy that I can't stand. Like, I can't. Besides, I haven't run into the guy that gave my brother the perk. Like, I haven't run into that guy yet. And that guy has a daughter and a son now. So remember when all of that happened went down with my brother, he only had a son. Now he has a daughter. And the only reason why I know is because every once in a while I go fishing on his Instagram and I see that he updates like little things like that. So now he's not a father to just one kid, he's a father to two kids. And honestly, sometimes I just think that my brother didn't have any kids yet. So in a way, it's kind of good because then that child would have grew up without a father the whole entire time, and it would have been very I feel like when you don't have your parents, like when you don't get raised by two parents, a man and a woman, it's very important to have the man and the woman in your life because the man is going to teach you everything of a masculine type of way, and a woman is only going to teach you everything that a woman should. And it should be that way. Unfortunately, granted, with the society nowadays and how people are, and people are always talking about toxic and this person's this and this person's that, like, it doesn't last very much, which is very heartbreaking because back in the days, like men used to go work and women used to stay home and they used to do what they needed to do in the house. You know what I mean? Like it was a very like I feel like it was a very different type of environment that there is now. Social media never existed. Like, granted, we couldn't be able to do this right now if we were living back in the old days. Streaming didn't exist, social media didn't exist, and like, granted, that messes up, unfortunately, a lot of relationships because people allow them to get insecure. And that's what I think is a really big thing about life, insecurity that causes things to happen. But I mean, overall, like, honestly, it's been almost now in April, be 4 years that my brother's been gone. It's been hard, but it's taught me a lot of things about life. Like, it just taught me how I need to capture every single moment more and more. So one thing I'm really big on is taking pictures, screen recording, all that stuff, because that's something that I could always go back at and I could look at and I could laugh about it. Oh, this is something I did last year around this time. Because, the phone, granted, reminds you, hey, look what you did last year. And you're just like, fuck, I don't want to see that shit. Like, you had a boyfriend last year. This year I don't have one. Like, fuck
Yeah,
you.
so you hanging with them. You just
So it's something that one of the things I did learn was capturing more moments together, because I did capture a lot of moments with my brother, but like, they're memories that I have recollected, like, versus me having them in pictures. You know what I mean? So it's something that I teach a lot of people as well. Like, granted, any man that walks into my life is something that I teach them, that I'm just like, you know what, like, you really need to take more pictures. You need to work on yourself. See, look, this is the day he passed away. He looked like this. He was wearing this. He was wearing Gun and Roses. He liked to wear bandanas. He had long hair. Let me see if I could find. He posted this. Look, it says, "A beautiful day." And then he puts like a bunch of emojis, and he's like, "The days that I am ungrateful, the days that are taken for granted, I think of heaven's riches, of the simple gifts that we possess, that we take for granted." So he posted that. And we put that in a shirt, all of us. We made shirts and we put that. Also, the day he passed away, like right before he passed, he had two horses walking to him. He had a brown horse and he had a white horse. And in that video, basically he's saying, man, he says, he talks about the horse is like a beautiful, fudge. I don't remember what he says right now. I'm gonna try to see if I can find you the video, because it's a pretty it's a pretty crazy, like, kind of like, it's ironically, like, he's about like a few hours right before he passed away. There's two horses, and if you think about it, something that God symbolizes a lot, it's a white horse. So, as in like spirits, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's a symbolization of. I wonder if I could find it on my Google Photos. I wish I was more prepared today, because when I tell you, I literally opened my eyeballs and I saw it was 1:10 something, and I saw your message on Instagram. I put, "I'm coming." I don't even know if you noticed that I didn't even write the word coming right.
I didn't get to see it. Mango.
Yeah, because I think I had already got in here. Get the Mango's like, "I'm trying to work this account up, you know?"
Thank you, boy.
What happened with Mango's account? She said that she lost it.
Yeah, she got
I lost my account too. They banned me till 2089. And I haven't been able to get my account back ever since. Granted, I just hit the numbers I had on my other account, which is awesome. The fact that I'm able to do that again.
Yeah, unfortunately, it be like that sometimes. You literally lose your account, but it's all about just coming back strong. You know what I mean? It happens. I kept thinking I was gonna lose mine, the top badge. I was like, all right, I might not lose it now. But until I got that, I kept thinking I was gonna lose. Thank you, Mango. But
Listen,
definitely,
I'm gonna look for the video, and when I get a chance, I'll send it to you on Instagram, because I can't find the video for some reason.
Definitely, that's fine.
It's probably on this phone.
And you was so open and transparent with us. You was able to get people to really feel what they needed to feel. Well, me personally, I ain't sure if everybody else did, but man, it's all about that. Just being, like you said, being grateful for every moment, and just appreciating the time that we actually get with people. because you just never really know
Definitely.
what's gonna happen sometimes.
I'm super grateful that I was able to have a person like him as a brother. I like for sure. Like honestly, thinking about that has made me think like I definitely need to have another baby because my daughter needs to have a sibling. But because she's such a good sister. Like I could see her being such a good sister. You know what I mean? Like she's so caring and loving, and that's something my brother used to love taking pictures of my daughter. Like he would always take pictures of her, um, and he would be like, "Oh my," he used to call her his Christmas. Like every day feels like Christmas when he was with her. He was so like excited when he found that I was pregnant. Like it was so funny. He found his way to get to the hospital to see me even though he smelled like weed again. And I told him, bro, you know, I love you and everything, but respectfully, you cannot grab my daughter smelling like that. So he would just be like, no, no problem. I can't even show you the pictures that he takes of her because, you know, we can't even show kids on here. But yeah, he took a lot of pictures with her. And he was very, like, honestly, like, I'm honored to be his sister. Like, regardless of what happened, I'm honored I have a brother like that. And I still have him, you know, spiritually, I know he's there. He constantly reminds me of moments that he's there. Um, so I'm grateful and I'm happy for the fact is that I was able to, you know, have him. And that's the point of my story basically is to basically embrace every moment that we have. Life is all about moments. We never know when it's gonna be the last breath we take or the last breath someone beloved to us takes. And it's always important to not remain with anger with our loved ones because the last moment you spend or talk to someone, you don't want it to be, oh my God, our last conversation was us fighting. Look, he love my grandma so much too. Look, see. Look, another thing I could tell you is he did spend the last year of his life, he spent that shit beautifully because he spent every holiday with my family. And that's something I know that he was grateful for sure, because he spent Thanksgiving with us, he spent Christmas, he spent New Year's, we spent it together, but we didn't spend it with my whole family. We spent it, excuse me, with my dad. And my dad ended up going to prison right after that moment because I had to call my dad in prison and I had to give him the news and I was like, look, I could fly you in if you want to do the proper way of, you know. And he was like, nah, I don't want to see my son like that. I don't want to see him like that. That's not gonna be the last time I see him. I don't want it to be like that. And I was like, oh dad, that's up to you. So I called you and I got through. Mind you, I had to go through the going through the prison. I have to actually speak to the actual like head in charge there. So I was like, sir, I really need to get through with my dad. I need to give him some very, very like bad news. So if you could please get my dad in your office and then call me and let me know. And they did that. They actually did that for us. So it was crazy. I had to call a lot of people and tell them about my brother's stats and stuff. It was very hard, but because every time I had to say that, I was just like, I can't believe I'm going. Like I can't believe I'm saying this. Like I can't.
It's crazy. Life is crazy. I really appreciate you taking time out with me, ma'am, and give me your great story. Let everybody know that I don't know who all in here still, but let them know when you stream and stuff like that, so they'll be able to
Okay,
check
so
that.
I normally don't have a set time of streaming. I just turn that light button on and whenever I want. So I don't have a set time, but I do enjoy streaming. I've been streaming a lot more than I usually do. So I mean, fade me. I don't have nothing specific I talk about. I just free this shit. Like I always, but I am good vibes. I promise. I'm not with that toxic shit. I'm not. I don't sit there and make fun of people. That's not what I do. I like to think I have a very high, great spirit. So feel free to fave me if you want to. If you don't, that's fine as well. Make sure anybody new in here, fave Mr. Westside as well. And make sure you guys show some love on him. Because honestly, I think this is like what, the third, fourth time we talk? Nothing but
Yeah,
good.
I've never been able to talk to you like this though. 'Cause you know how it is when you streaming, right? You don't get to actually with the
Unless
person.
someone
So,
jumps in your box and just sticks with you, like it's kind of hard. And you know, granted, you have to constantly like address everyone that walks in and stuff like that. You got to keep your people coming. So big shout out to you, yo. I know you have your top badge. You got your 101, which you got your 102 loading. I mean, slowly but
Say
surely.
it louder for everybody to know it.
Yo, dude, let's go. Hey, I do want to share a little bit with you. I did date a big streamer. I don't know if you know him, but his name is Grizzly Boy. Probably not. But he's like at 107 milli, which is crazy. And he actually applied for his top badge a few times and they denied him. I don't know why, but they did. But I mean, good shit though. I know it's a lot of pressure for you as an individual, you know, having that badge, and not only on you, but on everyone else that, you know, comes and helps you and supports you and continues to help you hold that badge, because it's unfortunate you guys have to continue to, you know, hold that badge every week. You got to do what, 80K a week minimum.
Yeah, I think it's 80K. I ain't even sure. I think it's 80 or 280 or 280. I think 280 to get it and 80 to keep it or something.
But it's 80K. I think for you to start to want to be a top badge, you gotta have 250K weeks, and you gotta have a 5 milli mark. So I'm trying to see if I can go into getting into my top badge too. But I don't know.
I want it, girl. Let's get it.
I rather get a featured show before I become a top badge. So I'm really trying to get my ideas in to have a set show on something I really, really want to do. I'm actually trying to help my friend get his show featured. It's a dating show, actually. He has Mondays. Oh, by the way, yeah, I'm gonna promote it a little bit really quick before I get out of here. On Mondays at 9 p.m. It's called Date Me Blind. Mr. D Diamante, he does this show every Monday. So normally what he does is he has a guest, just like how he has a guest on his thing, and he has 3 blind daters. So he puts, every guest has always 3 dates. So we ask a bunch of questions, or he asks a bunch of questions to all the blind daters, and basically the one that answers the best, which the guest gets to choose who they like the most, he goes ahead and he tells them, you know, hey, look, this is date or no. So bring the one that you least like, and then the one he least likes comes in, whatever, introduce themselves, whatever. The second least you like, and then the third one you actually liked, okay, boom, and then they match each other, and they decide to do what they want to do after that. Yeah. But it's a really good show. I love watching it. It's always 9:00 Mondays for sure. Eastern time, because we're Eastern over here.
Well, definitely, Nene. I appreciate you, Queen. I look forward to getting to know you even more. I'll definitely be over there to check you out a little more than I have.
Yeah, I'll be over here too more to see you in your streams and stuff. But thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Can we take a picture right quick together? Oh, look at you. Hold on. Let me take off the comments. There we go. 1, 2. Wait, but move a little bit more because you're under my box.
Hold on. I'm not sure where am I at?
I'm here.
Okay, so am I under you right now?
No, you're good right there. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Got it.
Gotta get my good side, Nene. Can't have me looking any kind of way out here in these streets.
You got a great smile on them dimples, boy, for sure. Sheesh.
You have me looking bad in these streets, Nene. Catch me like this one. I need to be beside you, girl.
You know them fucking screenshots when your shit freezes, right? They be catching you all the time. All right, well, thank you so much, Wes. Once again, everyone in here, I hope you guys have a blessed, beautiful Sunday as well. Okay?
Much love, Queen.
Bye.
Secret agent. You the secret agent. Everybody in here, I appreciate y'all for real. Y'all know I like to end it with the Lord's Prayer as always. So everybody bow your head for me. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive our trespasses. We forgive those who have trespassed against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever and ever. In Jesus' name, amen. Jesus. Hold on 1 second, y'all.